This lady is doing something really cool. She's hosting a show called Me, Myself, and the World. She produces, directs, and hosts it all herself. She's an adventurer, clearly, as she travels the world, and travel expert. You can find the show, Me, Myself, and the World, streaming now. I was mentioning this in the last half hour. Amazon Prime, Sling TV, Go Traveler, and Hoopla. And it's coming this August to Amazon Freevee, to Plex, to Zumo, to Tubi. How about it for Pamela Holt? Hi, Pamela
Hello,
Holt.
thank you. Hi,
Very.
Mark.
It's really cool to have you in the mix. I'm excited about this show because, Kim and I were speaking of this before, and we were talking about the fact that there's a certain courage you need almost when you travel on your own, because you're kind of used to traveling, I think, with somebody else. Sometimes there's a benefit in sharing experiences with somebody else. Give me the psychological place you have to be in to travel on your own.
Yes, it's funny you say that because I don't think I realized the psychological state that I would get myself into until I came back to the States and realized I was on high alert. And I didn't need to be on high alert, walking around on
So you
little
mean as a
ships.
traveler, you're on high alert all the time because you don't want to be,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
As a female solo traveler in particular, I think solo travel, the benefits far outweigh the mindset of being worried about solo traveling. I think the freedom and the independence are just tenfold over anything that people might be scared of.
So uh, your your world of solo travel, when you decided to turn it into a TV show, what is that strategy like? In other words, where do you start? How long do you spend in a place? How do you shoot it? All that kind of thing.
Yeah, I started by going to 7 countries to sort of scout out, like, what did I want it to look like? What did I want to cover? And it was so much fun to be solo traveling on my own with the eye of looking at, okay, what would look on screen? Who would look good on screen? Who's an interesting character? And so out of those 7 countries, I ended up choosing 3 countries: Bali, Indonesia, all top to bottom Vietnam, and then a small portion of Thailand. So the actual scouting was so much fun, especially because I would meet people and they were just wonderful. They were just wonderful people, and they didn't know I was looking at them through the lens of, oh, I'm going to put them on camera.
So essentially, you're auditioning everybody who you ran into,
Pretty
apparently.
much, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I would say, I knew right away who would be good on camera, who was funny, who was quick, who was quick-witted, and I'd say, "Oh yeah, got to come back here."
I mean, you have a language barrier in those places you mentioned, so you have to find people who can speak English, right?
Yes, definitely. But there's a few times, even in the series, where I don't speak the language they speak, and we use Google Translate, or they're teaching me words and I'm teaching them words, which is also fun because you can communicate with people so much more than just through language.
How did you, and then I will get into some of the specifics because you do have some cool ones about those
Mhm.
places. But how do you decide what to pack? I mean, I would think if you're doing a TV show and you're leaving, you're really only leaving once. You kind of have to have everything you need for that journey. How long were your journeys and what did you pack?
Oh my gosh. Luckily, I'm a pretty good packer. I actually have a segment in the show called Packing with Pamela,
Yeah,
but
I know you did
I
a segment on it. Yeah.
um I packed a lot, but I packed efficiently. Luckily, I was going to warm weather, so I had a lot of very thin clothes. Personally, I wore a lot of dresses and skirts because it was just an instant outfit. Um, we had when we went back to film, so I went and scouted. I did the whole solo travel for the 7 countries. Then I went back with one cameraman, and we had just the equipment alone was a 100-pound bag, and we took turns carrying it. So I'd be carrying a 100-pound bag and then literally turn with my little small backpack of makeup throw on a shirt that wasn't, soaking wet, and then throw on some makeup and go on camera. It was so much fun. We did 23 days of that for two
Wow.
seasons. We were definitely busting a move, and we both worked hard, but it was kind of one of those things every night you're laughing because you're deliriously tired, but you've had such an amazing day.
You're along the way featuring all of these colorful, exciting, dynamic experiences that you can have as a traveler. You're also looking at, I would think, ways maybe to save money or economically experience some of these things.
Yeah. I certainly on this trip and pretty much all the trips I've gone on, definitely a budget travel. But when you go off the beaten path, when you go to, a lot of people stay at hostels. I know people think hostels are for 20-year-olds, but not so much anymore. I see people, I actually interview a gentleman who's probably in his 60s, and he stays at hostels. They're safe. They're a really, really great way to meet fellow travelers, and of course, they're super budget friendly, and they all have private rooms. And so that's a really great way to save money. Also, when you're going off the beaten path, you're not paying high prices at the restaurants and the tourist attractions. And you're really honestly getting a lot more bang for your buck. You're really coming back with an experience rather than just, oh, I saw the Eiffel Tower. Oh, I saw the Mona Lisa, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the series is Me, Myself, and the World, The Art of Solo
Mm.
Travel. Pamela Holt's our guest. And I want to ask you about something that happened, I guess. I mean, not everything goes super smoothly all the time. You got detained in Cuba, apparently, and you got detained in Russia, it says.
Yeah. Yep. You would think a female solo traveler walking around looks pretty innocent, but um when I went when
I
I
mean, is
went
that
to
what they did?
Cuba,
They plucked you right off the street? What happened?
it was so scary. Um the Russia one, I had befriended a bunch of girls at a place that I would go um, for drinks, and they were really nice girls. And I was actually sneaking some things in there, like pillows and toilet paper for them and their family. And one day, as a gift to me, they said, "We're going to take you to some of the local spots." And so we did. We headed out, and we saw a place that had French fries. And I said, "Oh, I just want to get some French fries." Well, they didn't eat French fries because that just wasn't a possibility for them to afford that. So I bought everybody French fries. And some of the Russian police came by and saw these girls and realized, what did they do to get the money to afford these French fries?
I
So they're
see.
literally throwing us up against the wall, put us in their car, talking to us. And the great thing is, the girl that I was friendly with that knew English, she literally turned to me and she's like, "Pretend you can't talk and you can't hear." It was the only way out of it. Otherwise, they would have realized I was an American. And the
Wow.
to get out of it, I bought them French fries.
You bought the people who busted you French fries.
Yeah, that's
That's
how we got out.
hilarious. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I uh that's scary though, to have a cover story like I don't essentially I'm mute and I can't I also
Yes.
can't. Wow.
Luckily,
Uh
she was a fast thinker, so that was great.
and the same thing happened in Cuba. What happened in Cuba where you were detained?
Well, Cuba was a little different. I had been told by several people who are actually involved in politics, that had gone to Cuba or working their way in politics. And they said, "Oh, there's a particular orphanage that you should go, and here's a list of everything they could use." And I took that list. I got some great items from all different businesses, and in particular, eyeglasses. The eyeglasses, it's a 10-year wait for eyeglasses in Cuba. And so I brought them in, and I knew a woman that worked at a hospital, so I gave her the glasses. Well, somehow they found out that I had done that, and they were insisting that I tell them who she was and where they were dropped off. And I knew they would, quite frankly, I knew they would probably kill her. So I was like, no, nope, that's not going to happen. So then they
So
tried
what did you
scaring
say? You
me.
said no, I won't tell you?
Yeah, I was adamant. I said, "You're never going to find out."
Wow.
And I gave them a park I had been to. I told them that I met her at a park.
I see.
Hope
That's
they're not
clever.
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you, it was very, very, very scary. And even when I
Cuba has
came
a lot
home,
of police. I remember that. I've been there twice. It has a lot of
yeah,
cops. I was
it's
there
very,
for,
very safe for tourists, actually,
I
because
mean, and what is the tourist situation? What is our current relationship and your ability to travel to Cuba like?
there are, I believe, between 10 and 12 reasons when I went. I went on a really special reason where it's called People to People. And I did. I got to take dance classes. I got to help people. I got to meet people at the orphanage, all of this kind of thing. But they have since taken that away.
I
You can
see.
definitely go on organized tours. And I think Cuba is amazing. One, it's beautiful. Two, the people are so much fun. It's a it's a really fun country. It's just controlled by certain
It's
people.
sad that it's an autocracy uh, and then I want to get back to the other stuff, but I just think that
Yeah.
some of these dramatic moments you had, you were kidnapped in Egypt.
It was an attempted kidnapping. I was talking to a guy. I promise you, I thought he was a security guard. He was in full security garb. People are standing in line asking him questions. And then I wait my turn on the last person. And he said, "Oh, okay. Yes, we go this way to get there." And this is over at the pyramids in Egypt, at Giza. And it's one of those things where your life starts to slow down. And I realize he's now got me by the arms and he's almost dragging me through the sand. And I'm starting to pull back. And I hear the sound behind me. And it's this man who was with two French women. He was obviously a like security or tour guide. And he sees me and I see him running for me, yelling for me to run. He ends up, this is the craziest story. He ends up getting into a knife fight with the guy that's got me, who's been like now at this point dragging me. He frees me. I go back to the girls, and then they're like, "You need to get out of here." So I get back this I get back on the camel I'd come in on.
Wow.
And as I'm leaving, I this team of horses come by, and there's this kid, and he says to me something in English. He's like, what are you doing? What's wrong?" And I explain the story real quick, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, "Oh, I'm Egyptian, but I go to BU, Boston University, and I run drugs, weapons, and porn during the summer to make money to pay for school." He goes, "Get
Wow.
off your
Ooh, it's a
camel."
wild idea. Just might work.
He's like, "Get off your camel, get on one of my horses if you can ride, and I will get you
Wow.
back to safety." And that's what I did.
That is a wild story. Wild story. Did you shoot any of that or not?
Oh my gosh, no. I was so glad to get back to
Oh man, that's really scary. Um, so you have this entire series. It is on Amazon and it's across other places as well: Sling TV, Go Traveler, Hoopla,
Yeah.
Amazon Freevee, Plex, Zumo, and Tubi. It's debuting season 2. You've already got season 1 up there. You can watch it right now. Debuting in the later part of this year, apparently.
Yes.
Was it hard to get an Amazon series going? I give you a lot of credit, not only for, going on these adventures, figuring out a way to chronicle them, make them interesting, give us some sort of news we can use, but also these are clearly experiences that we can all have through you on some level. But I'm also just curious about, in addition to coordinating all of that, how you sell a series on Amazon and to all of these other streaming platforms.
Yeah, well, 457 calls later.
It takes a
Um,
while, huh?
it does. It was a lot of cold calling, a lot of networking, and I ended up connecting with Go Traveler. They're the largest travel content supplier now for many of the different platforms and distributors or the networks. And so I ended up going through Go Traveler. These people are so great. And so they put me on Go Traveler and then ultimately made the deals with all the other platforms. So in that sense, it was a really lucky break. But for travelers, they have Rick Steves. They have
I
some
see.
really incredible series.
And so once you're with them, they do the rest of the heavy lifting for you?
They do. You have to meet a lot of requirements for each of the platforms. Each platform is different. So actually with Amazon, I had handles for each person that I interview or talk to in the series. I have handles because I wanted to promote businesses, and I had
Sure.
24 hours to re-edit and remove everything. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
there.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I give you a lot of credit and
Thank
congratulations.
you.
As we finish up, I want to ask you about travel right now. It just strikes me. I read almost every day about massive delays. Kim, I think, reported on these delays related to weather. There are all kinds of issues with weather and tourism, as you know, in Europe, as they're experiencing record heat. And so
Yeah.
the things that were these pleasant summer European vacations are now becoming these insufferable experiences. People can't wait to get out, and they can't get out because the flights are canceled, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
with that lengthy preamble, let me ask you about the state of travel now. Where is it? How comfortable should we be? Just give me your sense of the snapshot of travel at the moment.
Well, honestly, travel is picking up after people have recovered from the pandemic. Is really the first thing they want to do. But I think the best thing to do is just stay malleable. Everyone has a lot of preconceived things about what they want from a vacation, what they want from a destination. And if you stay malleable, you're not going to be disappointed because
But don't you have to lock in things like hotels and itineraries on some level? I mean, you can't. There's the limit to how flexible you can be, right?
yeah, you can, but it's the moments where you're stuck in an airport or
I see.
where you've missed a flight because they've canceled it or weather. It's those moments, and I live this, so I truly believe this. It's those moments that you really make lemonade from lemons, because you'd be surprised when one thing gets canceled, one thing doesn't work out. There's sometimes something more amazing right around the corner. And an example of that is I missed something when we were filming. And because I was sitting at a cafe, basically sulking, a guy came up to me because he saw our camera equipment and he said, "Hey, I have an American woman who came to Vietnam to sort of understand why she joined the Vietnam War. Would you like to interview her?" I'm like, "What?" It's it's one of my favorite moments of the whole series.
Wow.
But
Pamela,
I
I'm going to tell you a story and that's good advice to be flexible and try to kind of take it in that way. I was in Vietnam, in Da Nang. Okay. Da Nang is where they supposedly China Beach. You remember that show, China Beach? I'm talking to the audience. I know you know this. I think most of the audience knows it as well, but that's where China Beach supposedly was, on Da Nang. It's kind of a beach city. So we're passing through, and I'm very much informed by the Vietnam experience because I grew up with the Vietnam War sort of as the backdrop of my life, and I've read a lot about it and seen a lot of stuff on it, and so I'm in Da Nang, and I'm in this place where you buy these Buddhas, and you buy trinkets, but also big stuff. Like we got a big Buddha. That's another story about trying to get it back here to the United States. It's an insane story. I'll tell you another time. But anyway, on this, because you were talking about Vietnam vet and running into one. So this bus is there, pulls up, and it says Vietnam vets returning. I thought, wow, this is unreal. This like speaks to me, you know. So they are all there, and I don't go right over, but I'm trying to think, should I go over? Shouldn't I? You know, blah, blah, blah. They're all kind of meandering, and they're there by the bus. And finally, I get my courage up, and I go over, and I go, hey. And I'm like sort of an emotional person anyway, where it's like I'm really moved by others' experiences and by it's to a fault. It's a problem probably. But anyway, so I'm quite emotional as I go over there. I'm not crying or anything, but I feel that sense of, it might happen. And I said, hey, I just want to say, it's really powerful for me to meet you guys. I mean, I introduced myself, obviously. I didn't open with that, but I said, I saw the bus, and I wanted to just come over and, tell you what an important part of my childhood the Vietnam War was, and the sacrifice that you made, and the troubled realities of the Vietnam War, and whatever the hell I was saying, But then I'm choking up as I'm saying it. And then the guy said to me, dude, we're kind of all over it. We don't really, it's not a big deal to us anymore.
Oh no, you like poured your heart out.
But he did say, he said, but there are a couple of guys here who are like you. He said, who are in our group who still are working through it. He said, so maybe you want to speak with them if you want, you know what I mean? And he wasn't dismissive, but he was just kind of bringing me back into reality. It was a great moment because I was so into it, and then it was sort of like, yeah, not everybody is still living that nightmare.
Yeah.
And Vietnam is perhaps one of the greatest trips I've ever taken. We've been there twice.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that you're there. I love that you're all over Asia. I can't wait to get into the series. Me, Myself, and the World, the art of solo travel. She does it all herself. It's there on Amazon Prime Video, Sling TV, Go Traveler, and all those other places. You can Google it and find it coming in this
Google it.
year. Toward the end of the year, season 2 drops. But again, Me, Myself, and the World. Pamela, thank you so much for visiting with us. A lot of fun.
Mark, thank you for having me. I love meeting other fellow travelers.
Right on. Pamela Holt, everybody. Woohoo! I love it. Love it. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.